This is the most aggressive opening ever invented in chess. The King's Gambit. I played 6 games against opponent of increasing rating, going from 700 all the way up to 1600 elo, so you can learn how to win quickly with this opening at every level. Be ready because these games are full of violent chess. Let's go. And we go with the King's Gambit. This is a very interesting opening. The idea is quite clear. We want to be the first one to open up the f-file to exploit the weakness of this point. Now, bishop c5 is one of the main moves. The bishop is developed on this diagonal, which is a weak diagonal. Now, this pawn is untouchable, because if we take, there is queen check. And if we push the pawn on g3, boom, this pawn is lost and we lose the rook. So very important now to go with the knight here. The main idea of the King's Gambit is that we let them take to play the move d4. Now we have a strong center. We are going to capture back that pawn at some point. And we have an amazing development ready for us. Knight c3, bishop takes, bishop c4, castle. And our rook is even looking at f7. Now, I could simply keep developing, but I really like the move e5. Attacking one more time the bishop. I'm ready to take this pawn, ready to develop the knight, and to keep going with my plan. Now, they're giving another check, so I need to choose between c3 or knight c3. And I think I will go with knight c3. I'm simply developing the knight. I'm not afraid of bishop takes, pawn takes, because these pawns are double pawns, so are a small weakness, but I don't really mind. I'm going to now take here, develop the bishop. d5 was a very good move. Fighting for the center, and so now the best square for the bishop becomes this one. Bishop on b5 is a good move, pinning the knight, but since you don't really want to take there, I prefer bishop on d3 because the king is going to be castled there, so the bishop is already looking at a very important point. This trade, not good. Usually you don't want to be the first one to trade. You need to really be careful to trade. Because even if trade seems like making the position simpler, easier to deal with, what did black do here? They basically improved my queen. My queen was doing nothing here, but by trading, my queen got upgraded. And now, unfortunately, this is a very bad move, because you see the idea of the King's Gambit. The queen is ready, the rook is ready, we just take this bishop, and we are starting a discovery attack towards f7, checkmate. King's Gambit accepted. This is one of the main line of the King's Gambit. And the idea is that we are giving away this pawn because we want to go for the move d4 and then develop the knight and the bishops in a very normal way. Now we have a problem. If we play the move d4, black comes here and says, hello, we can't play g3 because the pawn is just taking, the pawn is pinned, we lose the rook. So very important to play the move knight f3 here. We are controlling the square and we can keep going for our plan, which is the move d4. And I will play first bishop c4, just because I also want to look at this pawn, attack on f7. Now it's time for the move d4. Very good. The pawn is supported by the knight and by the queen. Is now attacked twice, but also well protected. We're going to castle, then bring the knight here, bring the bishop over there. Okay, this is actually a typical way to defend the pawn, but my opponent did a mistake because they did this in two tempi. So they first played the move g6 and then they pushed the move g5. Would have been better to push directly the pawn on g5. Now, I'm going to play the move knight c3, but I'm already looking to a typical double piece sacrifice. So now I'm gonna take this bishop, and that's just the beginning. I'm saying like, oh no, my poor knight, but this is the idea of the Muzio Gambit. We're sacrificing this knight, and also then we sacrifice the bishop. And this is actually a good opening. Now they didn't do that, which is not good because they are actually just giving us the knight for free. Our idea is that we want to have the rook and the queen on the f-file and give mate on f7. That's the whole idea of the King's Gambit. Now our opponent gave the same idea for free. We don't even have to lose the knight. So now we are attacking this rook. not super simple to defend it. And probably f6 is the move that needs to be played here, because after queen f6 or knight f6, we play something like bishop e5, and the position is collapsing. So f6 seems to me the only move that is holding for a second. One move that comes to mind is queen here, threatening mate, but queen e7 is still protecting. So after f6, I think my move would be the move e5. This position is anyway completely winning for white. And there we go. Again, the King's Gambit. They are taking one more time. We know that the move knight f3 is important to stop the idea of queen h4. Knight c6. We go again with bishop c4, looking at this pawn. Knight f6. Usually this is a normal development move, but once the pawn is on e5. Because if your opponent can push on e5, attacking your knight, and you have to move maybe back, is usually not good. So I'm going with a knight here, then I will keep going with my pawn on d4. I was shortly looking at this move, which could be an annoying fork, but I could simply trade my bishop. Again, I'm ready to take back this pawn. The move g5 is the typical way to defend it, but I think that in this position might be already quite late. d5 is an amazing way to react at the center of the board. Now I'm going to take this pawn en passant. What I'm doing is also opening the e file, and I'm ready to castle. I'm still a pawn down, but this king is a little bit, needs still to make a few moves to get into the game. And I always like to look at the idea of sacrificing on f7. Now queen g6 must be a mistake. You're moving the queen again, not really having a threat, I would say. Like maybe knight here is a threat, yes, because you're threatening the queen and checkmate, but I could simply take the knight. Now I'm even taking the pawn, getting back, restoring the material equality. Still they are behind on development. I'm even attacking this pawn here. My rook is ready to say hello on the e file. Maybe not even going to say hello on the e file. Now they are just putting a threat, but I would say this is kind of an empty threat, because there are way more urgent things to do in this position, and this king could be in big danger. To show how extreme this is, I will let them take the rook. If they want, go take it. So I will just take this pawn. Maybe it's not the most precise move in this position, but I want to allow them to go take my rook. And now probably this check is the most precise, but I will just develop. Just go take the rook. Go take that. You can have it. And the idea is that my pieces are so strong that this should be okay. This move could be annoying now because attacking the queen and the mate, but I have the strong queen e2. So actually now this knight is pinned. If this knight is moving, I'm taking this knight for free. And so actually already here, material-wise, I'm completely fine because I'm taking 2 knights for a rook. But maybe I don't even need to take back this knight. I will go forward with my knight. I'm threatening checkmate in 1 with the queen. Is there any way with the queen to actually protect here? No, they are threatening a mate for me, but this is a classic example of, oh no, call an ambulance, but not for me. Okay, so King's Gambit is a very aggressive opening. Black needs to hurry up, if not, bad things can happen. Next game, will they take? There are a few options here for black, and one is to take. One is to go for the move d5, it's called the counter gambit, and one is to develop this bishop. Knight f6, I've honestly never seen. And the problem is that this pawn is now free, plus we are attacking the knight. And I understand that probably black wants to take with the knight, but this piece doesn't have a simple way to come back, right? These squares are controlled by the pawn. I absolutely need to watch out in the King's Gambit. Very important because it could backfire. Since we have pushed the f-pawn, this move doesn't need to be on the board. So we play knight f3, and we are controlling the square. Oh, just one quick notice. Why this move queen h4 is not good here? Let's go back. Because after the move g3, you can't take this pawn, because there is the f pawn in the way. So it's an exception and is valid for this move. But keep it in mind, because if not, you blunder. Bishop c4, a clear idea in mind. The knight and the bishop are both pointing at the square, but we have a simple defense, the move d4, blocking the diagonal of the bishop, preparing to develop all our pieces. Now, every minor piece has a way to go out. The knight can go out here, but also other squares. The bishop can go out here, but also other squares. So we have a simple way to go on. Now, I don't want to trade pieces. If I play knight d2, they can trade off everything. But I promise this knight is in very bad shape. So I play the move c3. I got to connected 4. So I won the game. No, I'm kidding. So the bishop needs to go back. And where is this knight going after the move? A move like bishop d3. There is just one defense, which is the move d5. Let's see. Will black actually find it? The knight cannot go there because we just stay. You need to think at least. Okay, so we take here. And now it's very simple. We need to complete our development, but we have a very straightforward plan. You see those two bishops? They are very strong. So now we bring, I would say a bishop here first, attacking the queen. And once the queen moves, well, we take the queen. We give a check as well. And I think we're going to bring the big forces. Here you could castle, bring this knight out. This is a normal move. But since we have a queen, an extra queen basically, I'm just gonna bring the queen and give mate. So I'm gonna bring the queen and the knight. This is enough material to give checkmate to the lonely king. I could take also the rook, but I don't care in this moment. I think my opponent is in desperation mode. So those squares, very cool. They are controlled by the pawn and by the bishop, so the king cannot escape. So we just give a check and a mate. GG's. The king's gambit is too good. Next game. Let's try the king's gambit at 1300 elo. Will they take or will they go for the king's gambit declined? They are protecting the pawn. And what do? We don't take, because of course queen h4 is a problem. Now we know it very well. So we go with the knight out, attacking this pawn one more time. If they now defend it in the most natural way with the move d6, this bishop is gonna cry inside the box of pawns. Ooh. But they played the move d5. And I think, like usually at move 2, d5 is actually a very good move. It's called the counter gambit. But at move 3 is a bit suspicious, because usually the idea is that once I take there, you want to push this pawn or to take here. But now you have to move the queen out. And what I can do, just develop for free a piece, attacking the queen. The queen has to move one more time, and this pawn would have to stay protected somehow. And there are just a few squares. For example, queen e6 could be one idea. Now they're also threatening a discovery check to take here. So we have to shortly think and understand how to keep going. I am considering different type of moves. Knight g5 could be an idea. Of course, we are moving the same piece twice, so we need to have an important reason to do that. And my idea is that I don't want the queen to stay on this diagonal. Also, I'm not really losing a tempo, because while I'm moving the same piece twice, they also have to move again the queen. So we are both losing a tempo. But the question is, am I really improving my position after knight here and the queen moves somewhere? Because the queen could leave these diagonals, for example, go on d6. And then probably the move knight g5 served a good purpose. Also, I could just keep going with the bishop here, attacking this pawn. And I like my position. I'm ready to castle. I don't really care about losing this pawn. What if the queen stays on e7? Because then I still have the problem of the discovery check incoming. what I could play is probably something like knight b5, really attacking the queen one more time. But it feels like my knight are hanging in the center of the board. Let's say the queen moves one more time, and then I play bishop f4, c4, sorry. Feels risky, but I have an idea in mind, and if it's wrong, we have a lesson to learn. So let's go with our knight g5. We move the same piece twice, but just because we have a clear idea in mind. If the queen moves in any other square away from this e-file, we can comfortably develop this bishop and then castle. The point is that now I couldn't do that, because if I move the bishop here, the pawn is taking with check, and I'm a pawn down, plus I might have to trade the queens. And if I trade the queens, the endgame with a pawn down is not really nice for us, even if this pawn is weak, so probably is as well possible. Okay, now the queen is attacking this pawn, which is protecting the knight, so we are in an important situation. I think bishop c4 should be the move, but we have to be a little bit careful, because queen takes could be possible, and my bishop and my knight are both under attack. But I think it should be absolutely fine for us, because after queen takes, we can for sure take here with check. The king has to move, and then we can play some d3 or d4. Discovery attacking the queen, protecting our knight. This is a very complicated position. But at the same time, when there are lots of tactics on the board, if you build up a good position, tactics will be in your favor. And I have 3 pieces out. They have just 1 knight out, right? Minor pieces. So the only reason why tactics might not work in my favor is because my king is slightly weak, since I've played the move f4. Now, they didn't want to go for queen take f4, I think that's right, but this comes with a big problem for them, because I can definitely trade my knight, take here, and then I can put my king into safety. There is a check there, but it's not really a problem for me, because I'm going to just move the king in an even more safe square. And after pawn takes, I'm sacrificing the pawn. This is the core idea of the King's Gambit. We are giving away a pawn, but we will take it later on. And usually this by playing the move d4. Activating the bishop, now the rook is even pointing there. There is one move protecting the pawn one more time, and is the move bishop d6. How do we keep going? We have different ideas. For example, knight b5 starts to be a good idea. Attacking the bishop and also looking at this fork. But then the king can castle long. So I would try to see if we have something even better. And one thing I would see is that this little pawn could be weak. Alright, g5 is a typical way to defend the pawn, because now we really can't take it. But it weakens a lot the king. Already I'm looking at this check. There is the move queen d6, but I'm also looking at this move. Because after queen takes, I go with the rook on the e-file, and I'm saying like, hello there. I think it's time to go for us. Boom. Also, after queen here, there would be a simple fork, taking back the piece. So it's a safe sacrifice. We have multiple reasons why it should work. And after queen takes rook here, we should still calculate what if they stop us with the knight. But we can simply take, and then they have the same problem. So we are actually winning the queen if they take. And if they don't take, this king is in big danger. The king cannot castle because the bishop is controlling the castling square. Also, those pieces are on the way. So the king is stuck in the middle of the board, and that's very dangerous. I'm trying to find a safe square for the queen to go, but it's really hard. Queen g6 is probably the best one, because if not, I have this check, and now I think I will go for knight d5. I'm threatening to take here. Also, I can't really develop this other bishop. For now, the bishop doesn't have a purpose, so I'm making the usage of the pieces I have on the board. One more idea would be to bring a queen or a rook on the e-file. And if I bring the queen on the e-file, this pawn on d4 is hanging. Also, the rook on the f-file is now not anymore serving a purpose, because we forced black to push this pawn, protecting here. So actually the rook is stuck. That's why I'm going with the rook on the e-file. Alright, 97. They are doing really a good job to try to keep the position as safe as possible. What do we do now? So if we take, they will take back with a minor piece for sure. And as in many cases in chess, being the first person to capture is not good, because actually this knight is stuck there. The knight cannot move because we have discovery checks. So taking is never a possibility. So by taking, we're just helping them. So I will go with the move c4 with a clear threat in mind. c5 is trapping the bishop. And now you see that black is frozen. They can't move anything. Okay, they took here, but this now comes at a very high price, because I can give this check and the queen will be lost. I can take back this knight later on, and they went back with the knight. But now we can simply take the queen, and then still the problem of this bishop is there. c5 is coming, the bishop is trapped, has no squares to go. All right, they are taking the pawn, we take back. Now you see that the queen is stopping the king from castling. They are going with the rook attacking the queen. So we move the queen here. I'm threatening to take this pawn. Very simple threat. Moving the queen out of the way. This bishop is still not playing. This rook is still not playing. And remember, even when you have extra material, if you don't use the extra material you have, it's like if you don't have it. So in order to win this position comfortably, I need to bring those pieces to the game, or to checkmate my opponent quickly. So I'm going to take this pawn, and if the king goes here, it's checkmate in one. Or maybe not, because I thought like I could go here with the queen. But I can't really do that. Okay, so let's see if they... how do I need to bring this bishop and this rook to the game. So there is a fork here, but the queen is controlling, so we can just start to bring. Oh man, this is so painful. All right, lesson learned. Never give up your queen. Okay, let's try to come back. Oh man. So we are full piece down. That's really bad, but we'll try to come back. So what I'm doing now is pinning this rook. I shouldn't trade too many pieces. Okay, I will just take here. Let's see what I do. They should take one of my rooks. Okay, they're taking this one. It's also absolutely right. Now, if I take, they take here, so I'm not really getting much. So I will go with the bishop out, looking at this rook, and also wanting to take the pawn. They have just one move if they want to not lose the piece back, and is moving by rook in a square where they are attacking this bishop. And there is just one way, and this rook f8. But then at least we can take a pawn. It's not much, but it's a pawn. All right. Now, I'm shortly considering if there are any checks that would improve our position, but I think it's best to take this pawn now that we can, and then try to create some ideas later on. Now there is a very smart move. We need to move the rook, and we will go with the rook here, attacking the knight. Now if the knight moves there, which seems a logical move, hop, we pin, and we win the knight back. So another very dangerous situation for them. Great move. Now, I don't mind about this pawn. I will try to start to make my pawn run, being dangerous. Because if I start to kick this knight, then my rook could sneak here. I start to have some very nice ideas. This is a great move. They are trading the pawn. I'm taking. They have to take. And now I will play this move. This is dangerous because they could just trade. They're playing really well. Okay, I'll play the move a3. Let's see. But a3, I'm helping. The thing is really hard. If I do this, they cover with the rook and they want to trade. I'm not advancing. If I push this pawn, there is this check. And then I need to trade. Okay, I will play this because actually this move doesn't work. Because if they play knight here, I can just take the rook, and if they take the, I want a piece, and I have a pass pawn far away here, I'm gonna win the game. I'm also running out of time. That's absolutely amazing. Let's give this check so my rook is out of the fork. And now we push this pawn. Okay, at least the knight got passive. We try to bring the king to support the bishop and the pawn. We need them to advance, all right. Attacking here. Notice that this pawn shouldn't be taken, because it comes to a very high price. Okay, we don't trade. Please take my pawn. And it's free. It's very free. All right, we advance it even more. Do we? Yes, we do. Okay, this is a check. We bring our king closer, trying to support the pawn. Now we go with the rook here. I want to force the knight to take a decision. There we go. Let's play this move. Can we? The knight d5. Let's play this move then. I'm protecting this pawn. Oh no, there is this fork. Okay, this is really bad. Okay, now they have to give away the rook, but we traded rook and I give away my pawn, and this is very weak. This is absolutely terrible. I blundered everything in this game. That's very interesting. Okay, let's try to keep going. Never give it up. Right, we try to make the knight go mad crazy. Okay, take the pawn. Absolutely take the pawn. Ooh. Okay, we just need to get the pawn somehow, this one. And then we can make a draw. What? What? Oh man. What happened there? Maybe they flag. This is unbelievable. I'm still in shock, but just for you guys to know, this position was completely winning. So the King's Gambit is still approved. But now let's raise the rating even more. What do they play at around 1500 elo? Do they take? Do they go for the counter gambit? Or bishop c5. So knight c6 is still not the best move in this position, because after a simple move knight c3, they are already in trouble. How do they defend this pawn? And the most natural way, so to protect with the pawn on d6, gives white a very comfortable position, because now this bishop is inside the box. Instead, usually you want to stay with the bishop here, because you're blocking white from castling. So what we can do is something very simple. Develop. So we will go with the bishop on c4 or on b5. I like bishop c4 because we are pointing at f7, and that pawn can be very weak, especially once we are castle long, because what they need to do is to deal with the fact that also the rook is on the f-file. So now they came here to pin this knight. In some cases, we might even see a legal checkmate. So if we get to sacrifice this knight somewhere. Now in this case it's not working, but let's see. In any case, my next moves are going to be something like knight c3, push or take. I have one move that I need to be careful of, and this, what about 94, sorry. So I think I will play the move h3, saying like, okay, I am ready to see where your bishop wants to go. Now, if I take with the rook, this pawn is hanging, so I have to take with the queen, but I need to be ready to face the move knight d4. I have a defense in this queen d3. I'm moving my queen a little bit too much, but it's for a purpose, it's for a reason. Now, how can we keep going? Probably we need to develop still this knight and this bishop. Also, the move c3 could be a good idea to simply push this knight back. So what we can do is actually to kick this knight back, then we have to move the queen again, probably on f3, so we keep everything protected, and then we might go with the move d3, f5, bring those bishops out, and just complete the development. That sounds like a plan, so we just executed. This bishop is very good on e3 because we are also preparing the move d4. I see a problem, and this is the move knight a5. I need to trade my bishop because I have no longer the move, the square on b5. So I will go with the bishop here because I want to keep the bishop here. I think it's such a great advantage in this position. Once the position is going to be open, then my bishops are gonna be killer. And we already have a breakthrough, you know, we could take, but this is a tension situation. I don't wanna be the first one to take. I don't want them, well, they don't want to take me, because if they take, well, then I have a free possibility to go for the move d4, getting full control over the center. This pawn is falling, I'm going to take that pawn sooner or later. So rook b8. What's the idea? Probably they want to go b5, b4, try to create something on the queen side. I'll go bishop e3. I want to play d4. Finally, I can because the pawn would be protected. And if they take, if they capture, they trade, then my knight is not going on d2, but is going on c3, which is the best square for the knight to go. So we are waiting a little bit with the knight. Let's see what they do. So b5 was eventually their idea, but we have our strong center crashing move. They are taking, and I think this is a mistake because it gives us a very simple way to now develop this bishop, this knight. Going on c3, this bishop is under attack, we don't want to trade for the knight, so we might go back. And this is what we do. There is one more move that is very typical, improving this knight even more. Knight c4, attacking this bishop, attacking this pawn. And we might have to bring both bishops back. Yes, bishop on c1. There we go. But actually those two bishops, they don't seem strong yet, but I promise they will become very strong. And what we can do now is to develop this knight and then start advancing those pawns. As soon as these two pawns start moving, start advancing, probably we want to do e5, f5, f6. Those two bishops are going to be so good. So now, can we go with the knight on c3? The move c6 stops us from going with the knight even forward. So I'm playing knight c3 anyway. I need to bring the knight out. And if they play b4, I will go with the knight on e2. From e2, the knight is doing not much. But in the future can go on g3 and eventually on f5, serving a very good purpose. So my next move, if I can, is going to be e5. Okay, very good, knight b4. I still can't play the move e5. Every time you have pawns in the center of the board next to each other, you usually want to be very careful and to choose the right moment to push them. Because once you push them, you want to make sure you get a clear advantage, because if not, every time I push this pawn, all those two squares are going to be free for my opponent. And the knight, for example, on d5 is so powerful. So don't rush, be patient and push at the right moment. And the right moment is when I have an attack. I have a clear way to attack the king. And the clear way to attack the king is not just a threat. It's not just, okay, I can threat checkmate, they play g6, I defend. Is when, even if they defend, you have a way to keep attacking. For example, with f5, f6. Now it's a perfect moment, because after the move e5, they can't even go on d5. Probably the best way here is to play knight there, and to force me to trade that bishop, but at least I will win a pawn, but at least they got that strong bishop out of the way. If they go on d7, all their pieces are going to be very passive, and my next move is simply going to be f5 and f6. Once my pawn is getting on f6, the king is going to be opened up, all my pieces are coming to give checkmate. The knight is coming, the queen is coming, the rooks are coming. This rook is not really playing right now, but in the future can also join the party. For example, if we get on f6, they take bishop h6, then the rook is also joining. For now, we are doing the best out of the situation. Okay, you're trying to trade pieces, which is absolutely good, a good idea. But maybe they are already too late for that. f6 is coming on the board. Now, this piece is hanging, so they have to do something about the bishop. Also, the queen is coming with a big threat, because that would be basically checkmate. Now, they are trading. We can take with the rook, we can take with the knight, we could take here, attacking the rook, and we do that, because we're attacking the rook with a pawn. If the rook is moving, we have checkmate, everybody. So the rook can't move. Probably they can try to give this check, saving the bishop with check, but they don't do it. So we use again the power of the open f-file key in the King's Gambit, and we give a checkmate. If you enjoyed this video, you will love this one. This is an aggressive opening with the black pieces against 24. Enjoy. Thank you for watching.